They said they wanted power.
Oh, awesome.
Zaba, Zakalush, Kalamatskalo.
Welcome to Guru Talks.
Guru? What do they do, like levitate and chill on mountaintops?
Not exactly, but you are in the right place to find out everything you need to know, and it's actually quite simple. I am your host, Florian Boschi, and I will be going extra deep with Guru Bhaneshwaranand each and every show. We are covering deep truths about relationships, success in business, world peace, and many other topics. Oh, and of course, enlightenment. Because our Guru, well, he is enlightened. Welcome to our second episode of Guru Talks. Today we'll speak about, first, about truth, if truth is absolute or if it's relative, and then we'll talk a little bit about Guru Bhaneshwaranand's own path through Tantra, through his own path towards enlightenment and liberation. Let's just get into it right away. So in the last few days, we posted a couple of posts on Facebook, and there was quite a discussion going on around them. And I'm going to read those posts, and you can always look them up, all the posts at the Guru Bhaneshwaranand Facebook website. And the post we posted a couple of days ago, much in this world is about perspective. Once I told my guru the sun always rises in the east, and he said not when you stand on Mars. People had different reactions, and some of them thought that the truth is not relative, but it is absolute.
Truth is never relative. Truth is truth, and that is, of course, absolute.
Where you were saying it is okay to think we are right. The difficulty starts when we think we are the only ones who are right. So let's talk about this a little bit.
Yes. You see, there is nothing permanent other than change. Your life keeps changing, and so the truth for me also keeps changing. Yesterday, what you were, today you are not. What you are today, tomorrow you are going to be different. And therefore, life itself is relative. Everything is changing continuously, and therefore, the statements also change.
My personal experience in the past that I took with you over the last 2 years is that, at the beginning, when you started working with me, or when I started to work, you would tell me things that later on had little or less relevance for me than in the beginning. And then the way you told me about things changed, sometimes even to the point where it felt like it was contradicting something that you told me in the beginning. Is there such a thing as can it hinder us if we're not allowing ourselves to move in a fluid way through different truths? Can it hold us back in our spiritual path?
I think yes, because spirituality is all about fluidity. It's not about rigidity. It's like water. Water finds its path on the rock also, and it finds a path, goes around, and then moves forward. And this is what spirituality is. We don't need to be rigid, we need to be flexible in every aspect. And if somebody makes a statement and he thinks he's right, we always say, okay, I think you are right.
Do you always feel like the person is right, or do you just say that to kind of like shut them up?
Even if I do not feel it, I think, you see, I have told and I tell again, I can tell you the truth. But logically, like a lawyer, you want me to prove it. I do not have those kind of nice logics and may not be able to prove it to you. So if you think it is okay to accept it, it's okay to accept it. And if you think it is not, you can keep finding the logics and keep researching it, and it's your life.
Okay, where does your truth come from? Because it obviously doesn't come from books. You have told me many times. Can you explain this a little bit?
My truth comes from the source, and for me, there is only one truth, and that is source. Anything beyond source is an illusion for me, and that illusion is a relative truth for me.
So, as non-enlightened people, can we access this truth too? Can we access this source truth that you're talking about as well?
Yes, everybody knows it. Everybody deep inside their heart knows that the whole of the universe is governed by some force. I should not call it a force, also something, and that is source.
Okay, but I mean, we are obviously full with concepts, with book knowledge, with things. Excuse me, with things that we have learned in life. Doesn't that hinder the free flow of this truth, that source truth that you're talking about?
Yes, it does, and therefore we say, if you remember, we say that spirituality is the process of not learning. It is the process of unlearning. So whatever you have learned, whatever you see, whatever we have learned, we call them knowledge, but it is not the knowledge. It is several informations which we try to feed to our brain, and when the need arises, brain analyzes it to give it back to us.
Okay, and?
You see, whatever, like suppose you learn history, what is about this? I mean, this has happened on so and so date, this has happened on so and so date, this has happened on so and so date, this incident has happened like this. These are all the informations available to us, and we feed them in our brain, and whenever we need, we try ask our brain that, oh, when that World War II occurred, it will start replying you that it occurred from 1938 to 1945.
So that's not knowledge, that's information you're saying. So then explain a little bit more, what is knowledge? Because I'm not sure that, most of us, I think, most of our listeners, most of us think that, what we gain from our school education, what we learn from our parents, what we learn in our upbringing, what we learn from Google or the internet, that's our knowledge. But you are actually, essentially, you're saying that it's not our knowledge.
That is what I think you wanted to know. Knowledge is to understand who you are, and that you can attain by activating your root chakra, by starting your journey within, wherein you understand that the whole universe is within you and not outside of you. That is the wisdom, that is the knowledge.
Okay, so when you say the journey within, you're obviously talking about a spiritual path, am I right?
Yes, obviously.
Are you saying that somebody who is not on a journey within, who is not on a spiritual path, does not really have access to knowledge, just to information?
I'm saying so, very much.
And what does that mean? Does that mean that somebody who is not on a spiritual path and only has access to information is always, I mean, what does that imply? Does that imply lifelong confusion? Or lifelong not really knowing? Or lifelong doubt? Or lifelong uncertainty?
Oh, yes, it is illusion. It is lifelong illusion.
Okay, and so can somebody do something to gain knowledge without having to engage on a, I don't know, 3 to 15-year path towards enlightenment, or is this the only way?
It can happen by any way, but the way where it happens certainly is the spiritual path. And there are people, I think, in the past who challenged us that it has happened in other way to somebody, brought their books, brought everything about them, and when we went inside together, we found it was the same path they were following.
So you're saying there is one path essentially that leads to knowledge, or before you said that there are also other ways. Can you elaborate or explain more?
Yes, I still say that there are, in people's opinion, there are other ways, there are maybe plenty of ways, but as far as I'm concerned, wherever I have seen a person who has reached enlightenment and his history, his everything, his life, when we see they have followed the similar paths. Maybe there is something else, and if we find one, we can incorporate that also in our teachings.
Okay, but essentially it is necessary to follow either the path that you are following or a similar path to even get to a point where we can call ourselves knowledgeable, correct or incorrect.
Yes, I say so. Correct or incorrect, you decide, but I at least say so.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit how this feels, looks, works on the inside? Since, I, for example, have not reached enlightenment, so essentially I would have no idea what knowledge even is, how it feels, how it looks like, how the experience is inside, how the mechanism is inside. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
A person who can accept any situation as it is, he can accept any person as he or she is, if he does not get disturbed by the outside situations, then I say he has got wisdom, he has got knowledge.
Okay, so the knowledge you're talking about is really the wisdom not to care about anything.
Yes, not to care about anything may not be the correct. I mean, you are not involved with anything. You are in yourself and only in yourself.
So let me get this right. Knowledge means you're in yourself, you're content with yourself, you don't need any external influence from the outside. That's knowledge. So knowledge is not that you know things that other people don't know?
I don't think, I mean, if you want to define that, they are informations. Not, you see, there are plenty of informations in the universe, and yes, some of them you will know, and some of them you will not. Depending upon the capacity of your storage system in your brain, you will be able to store either less or more. But for having this knowledge or wisdom, you don't need to store anything. You don't need, I mean, those are outside influences. They really does not matter to you, and you reach where you want to reach.
Okay, so let me dig a little bit deeper here because we talked about this before, obviously, and you called this universal knowledge, you called this source knowledge, you called it the unwritten Vedas, I believe, meaning that you're saying that this, it's called the Vedas, but it's not the books, because the books is already an attempt to bring this eternal wisdom down into a written format, and then it already loses some of its accuracy, you could say?
Yeah, I mean, anyone, like suppose what I am speaking today, it has got the universal knowledge as well as my and your opinion in it. The universal knowledge is available in the universe in form of some frequencies, and when you are able to connect it to it, it is all available to you.
So when you strip your and my opinion from this universal knowledge, like right now, as we're talking, what would be left? Just so maybe that me and our listeners can get an idea of what are we actually talking about here? What part of our conversation is universal knowledge and what is opinion?
I tell you, I try to give you an example. Ask the taste of chocolate to someone who has not eaten it.
They will not be able to describe it, I assume.
So this is, if words cannot describe the taste of chocolates, how can words describe this immense wisdom or knowledge? It is something beyond words. It is something what you can experience. It is something what you can share with those people who has experienced it. And in the maximum words, what I can tell, that I'm experiencing bliss, which is neither good nor bad, which is neither right nor wrong, which is neither profitable nor loss making.
Yeah, okay. I mean, maybe just because look, we're basically telling people, or, you're saying that anybody who experiences this will never want to come back. So it's like saying, look, you don't know chocolate, you don't know how sweet tastes, but I can tell you this, once you eat it, you'll be calmer. If you eat it more than once, or if you eat it several times, you'll probably get addicted to it in some way or form. Will have cravings towards it, It will taste really, really good. There are some chocolates that will taste better to you than others. There is not just one chocolate, but there is, hundreds of different ones. Chocolate costs that much money. So, even though we can't explain the taste, there is a lot of things that I can explain about chocolate, even though if somebody hasn't tasted it, to make them understand if that's what they want or if that's what they don't want.
That is what we are doing, my dear friend. That is what we are doing. But still, I would like to mention it here that it is not the exact thing what I want to say. What I want to say is beyond words.
Okay, yeah, I understand. If somebody has reached knowledge, can there be a doubt in them that they have reached knowledge? Or does the person who has reached knowledge know 100,000% that they have reached there?
Look, whatever capacity you have got, I think you are a doctor, you have studied Chinese medicine. Do you know that you know Chinese medicine, or you don't know?
Yeah. I've practiced Chinese medicine for almost 15 years.
Okay. So anything you achieve, you ask a historian whether he knows history. Ask an engineer whether he knows engineering. Yes, any person, whoever has got what inside him, knows what he has. If he has got even iota of doubt about it, then he doesn't have that.
Could it be safe to say that the knowledge you're talking about is equal to reaching enlightenment?
Yes, it is definitely, if you are able to identify what you are, who you are, and you do not need anything from outside, and outside things does not disturb you, that is what enlightenment is.
Now, is there a way? Because look, I'm a Chinese medicine person, or an engineer is an engineer, but the engineer has a degree. I also have a degree, and my teachers know I went to school. I can verify this with the acupuncture board. People know, there's institutions that know, but there doesn't seem to be a way to really verify the stage of reaching knowledge or enlightenment. And the reason I'm asking is because people often ask me, well, when I say that, that Guru B is enlightened, that you're enlightened, they will say, well, I mean, who says? And then, I have to tell them, well, my teacher, you're the one who says it to me. And then they say, well, I mean, how do we know? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the predicament here?
Yeah, I understand what you want to say. Uh, you see, when you go to a person, like suppose you have come to me. You sit down with him, you will start experiencing some calmness, some quietness, and you meet him again, you will experience same quietness or same calmness again. Meet him third time, nothing changes. You know that he is the person you are looking for. If not, everything will change. And yes, like you see, before the education system was there in the universe, there were still educations. People used to go to their guru's place, they stay there, they learn, and then the guru will say, yes, you are now perfectly okay, you can go to the world and do whatever you feel like. The guru declares, like you are learning today, it is your guru who will declare, yes, Florian, you are enlightened today. And that is a degree. Whenever you go and meet a real spiritual persons, they will all identify you as an enlightened person. Only a paper degree is not there with you. Rest, everything is there with you.
Yet the 99.9% of the rest of human population will have no idea to verify, prove, or show, or even know themselves that that person is enlightened, correct? That's kind of like the difficulty of the whole spiritual path, right? Or one of the difficulties.
I do not, uh, I do not agree with you completely. Anyone who want to be on the spiritual path, they will find it out. They will always find it out.
Okay, but the way they find it out, I mean, the way I understood it right now is they will have to take the trip, come to see you, spend a few days with you, see how they feel, see if it's right, and see if they can verify that, you know, in their eyes, there is something going on in you that makes them basically agree, yes, this man is enlightened. That's the only way, is it? They cannot look at a Facebook post and say, oh, yeah, Guru Bhaneshwaranand, he's enlightened.
Yes. I think whatever is written about in the Facebook about anybody may or may not be the correct thing. Even non-enlightened things we talk about, whatever the profile of a person you see on the Facebook, do you think it is 100% right?
No, no, but
That answers the question.
yeah, okay.
That answers your question, yes.
I mean, you know, there is other things. Like, for example, I can, you know, create a profile about acupuncture or Chinese medicine, and then I can post every day posts about, you know, Hashimoto's thyroid disease. And, you know, after a couple of months, people will start realizing that this guy knows a lot about thyroid disease, and you know, they will have an idea of my level of, I guess you would call it my level of information, right? So they will be able to decide if I know what I'm talking about or not, and then they'll come see me or they won't. And I think that's a little bit different because you're saying nobody can really verify if you are what you say unless they, you know, see you, feel what they feel, verify it by staying a few days, and after 3 days they still feel the same thing. That's still a little bit different than a regular profession like Chinese medicine, no?
I don't think so. If you like, suppose you want to same thing what you are doing in the Chinese medicine. If you write few spiritual quotes, if you try to talk to a person, talk to him on Skype, talk to him on phone, talk to him on WhatsApp, or something like that,
Make a podcast.
like a podcast, yes, that solves the purpose. You will have a fair idea, but still, like this Chinese medicine person, whatever he has written, unless you go and meet him, you do not know whether he will be able to treat your disease or not.
True.
Similarly, in the spiritual profile also, talking, discussing, everything is okay. But unless you go and meet a person, I'm not saying me to any person, I'm saying, unless you go and meet him, you do not know whether you will get connected to him or not. Until that time, this is all about reading the information, whatever field it could be.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it makes sense. I think, I think this is a very good time to kind of like lead over into our second topic. You have had a very powerful past in terms of your spiritual path. And I was hoping that you could share with us a little bit about your journey in life and how you got to where you're at. You're not just enlightened, you actually kept working after enlightenment, have then reached 15 years later, after you reached enlightenment, another stage, this being nirvana or liberation, which is extremely rare from what I understand in the world. Maybe you can give us like a little bit a backstory of you, of how things happened to you, how you encountered this unusual path in your life, how you were able to master it.
Yeah. The first thing is that I'm not powerful, and enlightenment is not about the powerfulness. I'm powerless, zero, neither very positive nor very negative. I'm at zero.
Can I just cut you off here for a second already? But you are performing rituals for people that not a lot of people are able to perform in this way, that have effects on their lives that are dramatic in many instances. So how does that compute when you say you're not powerful? You're using powers that few other people in the world can use.
This is the power of source. I just request source that this person has come to me, please help.
If I'm leading an army, I'm not a powerful leader, but I tell my army to fight, and that makes me powerful.
Yes, if you are an army general and you do not think that you are powerful, you are spiritual.
Okay. Please continue.
Then you are a spiritual army general, not the powerful army general.
Yes. No, I just wanted to clarify that. So even though you have power at your feet, you have power to utilize and to use, you don't consider yourself powerful.
That every one of us has. Every one of us has got some powers, and after the state of enlightenment, that power is nothing to me. And hence I call myself as powerless. Unless somebody comes to me and really want to be helped, there is no power. And when they want to be helped, I try to perform whatever the ritual is possible and they get helped. It's not my power, it is the power of the source, which is there in me and also there in you and also present in the person who has come to take a help from me.
So the difference is that you are not using the power for yourself, and you're only using it when somebody asks you for it, and thus you are not the one who is powerful. Is that correct?
I say so, yes, it is correct.
Okay. Okay, great. I just wanted to clarify that. Please continue. You were talking about your journey, your own spiritual journey. Please.
Unless you ask me some question, I do not know what exactly you are meaning and from where I start.
When did you know that your life's path will take you on a spiritual path?
I think it could be at 3 years of my age.
Do
I
you
was,
remember how you found out? I mean, do you remember what happened? I know you told me a story once that I guess your grandma was saying, please make sure to take care of him. He's like kind of like aloof, or he has his head in the clouds or something.
yeah. Look, how you define a person by how he works, by how he behaves, by how he lives. And I think I was little different than my brothers, than the children around me. So my parents were always worried. They were always thinking what will happen. They were always thinking how will I eat food in the future, how will I live and all that. And yes, my grandmother she loved me like anything because she was old and spiritual, and she will request my mom to at least feed me till she was alive. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and then so they had to feed you until you were alive, or how did this turn out?
No, no, I think anybody to that extent, whatever you are in the childhood and whatever the concern of your parents are, they are always in illusion about their children. Children, they find their own way and they succeed.
And so did you, and you became a businessman. But yes, but not before you met the real
Yeah,
guru, an enlightened guru, and you got initiated for enlightenment at an unusually young age.
yeah, I was around 13 years when that happened, and I think I consider myself a little lucky. Though at this stage I am beyond luck and unluck, but still, when somebody talks to me, I tell them I think I was a little lucky because I found him at the right age and he was very nice to me. He loved me like anything. He cared about me. He took care of my spiritual journey. He took care of about my needs. He took care of about my questions. He took care of about my misunderstandings and understandings, and I just loved him.
Yeah, I think you were lucky too, because when you look at my own when I look at my own journey, and you've seen this, I think, a little bit in recent days as you're engaging more with different spiritual Facebook groups, that there is lots of things out there that are running under the title spirituality. There is things like the law of attraction. There is things like, manifesting what we want in our life by, drawing the right energy and surrounding us with the right energy. And there is crystal things where you use different rocks and stones to heal yourselves and to heal your energy body. And there's all kinds of yoga practices and veganism and, you name it. And it is a labyrinth of different things. However, none of these things are, or maybe they are, you tell me, but none of these things are what you found when you found your guru when you were 13 years old.
Yeah, I
So, yes, go ahead.
I agree with you, but saying that they are not doing the right thing is also not right. Whatever capacity they have, they are doing a good thing, and we must appreciate them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is not about not appreciating people or anything. It's just, I think the reason why I'm asking is because I wonder if you have any advice for people that, because your path led you to, could you call it the highest place that exists in spirituality? Is liberation the ultimate thing that can be reached? And your path led you there over the course of less than, I guess, 45 years or something. And I guess my question is, what is your advice for all those people out there that are engaged or that are seeking and searching and that are in this labyrinth of massively monetized industry of thousands and thousands and thousands of so-called spiritual teachers all around. I mean, you throw a rock and you find somebody who's teaching something spiritual. So since you were so lucky, excuse me, and have found this at a very early age, and this path has led you straight towards enlightenment and then straight towards liberation. What is your advice for people on that?
You see, it all depends upon what they want. There are some people who says that they want spirituality, but in reality they don't. They want some powers. They want something different. They want capacity to read somebody's future. They want to be a good tarot reader. They want to be, I mean, it all depends upon what they want. But yes, if they want a real spirituality and be connected to source, then my advice to them is not to waste your time elsewhere. Go straight and do not seek powers, it automatically comes in. Try to go within yourself. And one very important thing, what I would like to advise, that the world has taken an opinion that everything can happen automatically and in yourself without guidance. Whereas I'm of the opinion that whoever want to reach real spiritual wisdom, real spiritual knowledge, they do not waste their time, energy, and things in other things. They try to go directly to inner engineering, to journey within, and find a guide. There are a lot of resistances when I say that you need a guru if you want to be spiritually enlightened. But they do not understand that a human, though, is born with some energy from his previous life. I again repeat it. Every human is born with some energy from the previous life, which remains sometimes in the right brain, sometimes in the body. But unless you are taught those things, you do not get them, you do not realize them. Florian, can you speak Russian?
Nastarovye. No, not really.
Not really. And why can't you?
Nobody has taught me, or I haven't put the effort in to learn it.
I mean, how do you put effort to learn?
I don't know. Buy an app where I can learn Russian.
Yeah, yes. So that app becomes your guru. Every human being has got 5 gurus in their life. If they are not so lucky, they will have 4. And those 5 gurus are the first one to whom we should respect maximum is our mother, who teaches us how to speak, how to communicate in a language, how to eat, how to sleep, and how to, I mean, a lot of things she teaches us knowingly and unknowingly. Our second guru is our father, who also teaches us. I mean, we learn a lot of things from our father. Our third guru is surrounding. Fourth guru is school teacher or books, whatever you call it. And fifth is spiritual guru. I think, again, people will come out with a lot of logic that it is not right. They will try to prove me wrong, because I think the people are very keenly interested always to prove me wrong. But yes, When you go very deep inside, you will find that you cannot learn anything other than from these five sources.
But I mean, in essence, what you're saying is that somebody out there, if they're not told, like being told by you right now, that that's what they need, that they need basically a spiritual guru, then they wouldn't even know to search for it.
Yes, that is, I mean, it has become, now again the world is changing, but in between for last 50 years, it had become a fashion that people started saying, we don't need anybody, we don't need anything. But that's not right. We definitely need, if I want to learn Chinese medicine, I have to go to somebody who knows Chinese medicine and can teach me. Or I have to go to set of people who knows Chinese medicine who can teach me.
Yeah.
Similarly, if you want to learn spirituality, you have to go to somebody who can guide you spiritually. Anything beyond this is a pure illusion and doesn't lead us to anywhere, in my opinion.
It's a search in the outside for many people, and I think they don't even know that they are supposed to search on the inside. I mean, it's being talked about, spirituality is on the inside, but the reality is that many times you can see that it's all in the outside.
Yes, because those teachers are in illusion, they put their students in illusion, and you see, somebody has to tell you, dear Florian, not outside, look inside yourself. It is independent of
Yes.
things you are looking into. It is independent of your car, your bungalow, your house, your food habits, your healing patterns, your qualification. It is independent of all this. So somebody has to tell that to you, and who tells this to you is your guru.
It needs to be somebody who is fully on the inside and understands the ramifications of it.
Yes, yes, and that is why I say that I was very lucky to find him at very right age, and who has told me, my son, where you are, there it's an illusion. Close your eyes with me. I want to take you somewhere where you belong to. And I'm very thankful to him. Very, very thankful to him. And very thankful to him again.
Yeah, I can relate to that, as I am as thankful to you, I think, as you're to him. But, since we're speaking about that, I would like to kind of like ask you something about myself. Because what's interesting is, I was definitely searching for you and I found you. And after about 23 years of other things I did, so it took a while. But then, my desire to reach enlightenment was very strong at the time. A couple of months ago, you told me that, I'm not perfect in my desire to reach enlightenment, and I didn't quite know what you meant. But then a few months later, I realized that my desire to reach enlightenment was very much, I mean, it's there, but it's not this burning desire anymore. And I realized what had happened is that my initial desire was really based on something else, or maybe something external again, because it was really about not feeling, and I didn't realize this until recently. I wanted enlightenment so much because I was in so much pain, and really I just wanted the pain to stop, the fear to stop, the anger to stop, all these things. And then as it's been going away from me miraculously through the work I've been doing with you, I realized that I'm actually okay. And I'm still doing the work, but it's not the same urge that I have anymore than I used to have. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because it feels like I came to you for all the wrong reasons, thinking that I'm coming for the right reasons, and now realizing that I'm not. And I think maybe that's the same thing for all the other people. Like you say, people, they want power, or they want, to feel better about themselves, or they want better relationships, but isn't really what they want enlightenment? I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of like talking my head off here, but maybe you have something to say to this.
No, I will not say that everybody wants enlightenment. There are few people who are very happy without it, and there is nothing wrong in it. Everybody doesn't want to become a Chinese doctor. Everybody does not want to be a politician. Everybody does not want to be a spiritual teacher also.
Sure.
So, and there is nothing, yeah, and there is nothing wrong in it. But yes, like you, there are some people who are confused, but deep inside they know that they don't want this, they want something different. They do not know what they want. If somebody is like this, then they definitely need some spiritual guidance from somebody, and then they should not search about being successful in this or being successful in that. Their destiny is to be not successful.
Meaning to go.
And not successful means yes.
Finish the sentence, please. Yes.
And they should try to find somebody like me, somebody on the other part of the world, or if they want, they can also come to me and start their journey. Not everyone, I think, want to be enlightened, and I mean, we should not feel anything bad about it that everybody does not want to be spiritual. Everyone has got a path, and somebody want to be a king, somebody want to be a minister, somebody want to be a nice general. There is nothing wrong in it.
So you don't think that my primary urge to find you was actually about me suffering and not wanting to suffer anymore, not even knowing that that's why I came to you? You're saying that there was a deep desire to have something different, like enlightenment in my life?
Oh, yes, look, I tell you about your history. It is again information and not knowledge, in my opinion. But listen,
Okay.
If I could have given you the choice first day that you stop your suffering, I will stop the pain of your leg, or I can initiate you for enlightenment, what you could have chosen?
Enlightenment.
That answers the question.
Okay.
Okay.
No, but that's because I know that stopping the suffering of my leg doesn't really stop the suffering. It doesn't stop the cycle of suffering. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I have a deeper perception of, okay, fine, so then the next thing will come, the next relationship will break, or the next thing will come, or, or I will fear death, or whatever it is. But the cycle, just because you take away my momentary pain, it doesn't end that duality cycle that we're all in,
Yes. So there are many of us like you, and they need to go very deep into it.
Okay, that's great. So now, so at this point, let's talk about how can they find this. Let's say they are like, okay, Guruji is really, I don't like him, I don't like his voice, but I understand what he's saying and I believe it, but I don't think he's my guru. I need to find another guru. So and what we're talking about here is deep tantra, right? This is a word that is being used in the West for sexuality or for sexual practices, but really it is the path towards going completely to the inside, towards reaching completion. And you're saying there is many people all over the world, not many maybe, but there is more than a handful of people over the world that are teachers that have the capacity to, to help people reach there. So, what do you tell people? Where can they go? Where can they turn? Is there, is there a community, or is there a website they can go to where all enlightened people meet, where all, gurus meet, and where people can realize, this guy is real, or this woman is real, and this one is fake? How can somebody distinguish? How can somebody determine who's real and who's not? Or somebody lives on the North Pole and they just don't have the means to come meet you in India, and they want to find an enlightened people on the North Pole. Is it possible, or what do you say to that?
I think I laugh on this every time this question comes to me,
Okay.
and it has come to me so many times. But there is a very special saying in Tantra: make yourself ready. And when a student is ready, teacher appears.
Okay, so I didn't find you. Source helped me find you. How does this work?
Yes, I mean, you sitting across the globe, the other side, and I sitting this side. The moment you try to make yourself ready, you will definitely find somebody to help you. The problem is that confusion or illusion is so strong in us that we are not ready. If you are ready, even for a moment, you will definitely be able to find your guide, your guru. This is what I think I tell everybody. If you must have seen it, and it's fact. It is. It is beyond fact.
But this is interesting. This is almost like an oxymoron that you're saying. You're basically saying make yourself ready. On the other hand, you're saying your illusion might be so strong that it might hinder you to become ready for the rest of eternity.
You see, look, if your illusion can stop you, if your ignorance can stop you, then you are not ready. If anything can stop you, you are not ready. When you are ready, you are unstoppable.
Yeah, still an oxymoron, because what you're saying in a way is that those who are not ready, you can't even tell them to become ready because they don't have the capacity to understand that they're not ready, and therefore they will never become ready.
No, if they come and reach me, I definitely guide them. But yes, if they are really ready, I will find them. Or some guru will find them and they will start helping them.
Okay, yeah, okay, yes. If they ever find a guru, the if there's the big if. But let's move on to a little bit different. So, just maybe really quickly. So Tantra is not about what people think in the West. Yes, it is not just about sex. It is not about passion. It is not about increasing our sexuality. It is not about that. Can you elaborate on that just for a minute?
One very interesting things I would tell about Tantra in the West is everyone who is teaching sexuality in the name of Tantra, they all know it is not Tantra.
Oh, they do.
Yes.
I mean, remember we met a guy in Germany. I don't want to say any names, but there is this guy in Germany who teaches Tantra. He came, he was asking you a lot of questions, but to me it seemed like he was very much thinking that he's teaching original, authentic, deep Tantra, no?
I don't think so. And I don't think that he is thinking that.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. He also knows that Tantra is beyond this. Now I tell you, first we have to understand what Tantra is. Tantra is a Sanskrit word meaning system in English. And if you have studied Hindi a little bit, the system by which we rule these days is called a democracy, and that democracy in Hindi is called Praja Tantra, where people decides who the king will be. Before, kings were deciding who will be the king, and that system was called Raj Tantra. Okay, so Tantra, the meaning is system, and system to reach the source is Tantra. System to identify yourself is Tantra. System to become complete is Tantra. Now, when Tantra must have gone from east to west, you always want to take what you lack in. Relationship was a big problem in those days, and therefore the relationship part of Tantra, a sexuality part of Tantra, they started learning. And I will tell you to go and really read about it. It's not sexuality, what they are teaching. It's not pleasurable sex, what sexual tantra is. Sexual tantra is that you can lead to source even from your sexuality. So it is not sexual, I will say it is spiritual, where the real sex is not about the orgasm, not about the ejaculation, it is about holding the ejaculation. It is about ejaculation. It is about holding your sperms and making them rise upwards. That is the sexual tantra, and not that you do the massages and to do this, to do pleasures, and that is not a real tantra.
Okay, so I mean, it seems like from what I've read that people in the West are well aware of the issue of ejaculation, and they are practicing to hold their sexual pleasure for many hours, and then they don't ejaculate. And I think, from what I understand, this is all about activating or triggering the root chakra to create an upward movement to open the Kundalini energy. Am I correct? This is the purpose of all this. Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
so,
yes.
so it seems like people are at least partially aware of these things, that when they ejaculate, that they're losing energy, and that then that root chakra energy can't rise and things like that. Now they are practicing this, I guess, thinking that at some point, or hoping or working towards the Kundalini energy opening for them. Now, the question that comes up for me here is this possible for people without your help or the help of another guru who is enlightened? Is this possible to do? Can they open their Kundalini energy by following these practices? Is this just a partial knowledge they're using, or is it even dangerous for them to open the Kundalini by themselves?
Yeah, it is again very debatable point. But yes, for anything to happen, the Kundalini energy is so powerful that when it rises, it shakes your entire body. So even I don't think they are uh, most of them, they know what tantra is and how they can probably go deep into it. But what they want to practice probably is pure sex, because I have seen everywhere in the world, why West, they say sex sells. And I see some advertisement where you do not have a role for the sex, there also you see a sexy woman or a sexy man. So it,
Right,
I
the sexy
mean,
woman selling a car, yes.
yeah, sexy woman selling a car, right? You have exactly said that. It has got nothing to do with car selling, but because it sells and people uses it. But if you really want to practice deep sexual tantra, you need an enlightened master who can guide you to that and can make you reach there. I will not like to say whether whatever people are doing are good or bad. It is for them to decide. But if you are thinking of reaching enlightenment or rising the Kundalini, then you definitely need the guidance of an enlightened master.
So is there a possibility of the Kundalini rising in somebody who doesn't have an enlightened master and does all kinds of yogic practices and Vishroli practices and whatever it is? Can they raise the Kundalini? And if yes, will they do it in an unbalanced way, and is that dangerous? I think that's a big question, because there are many sites about people who came to the hospital and their kundalini rose and they were totally freaked out and almost became mentally sick because for 2 or 3 years and things like that after their kundalini rose. Is that a reality, or is that does that happen? And what's
it
the predicament
happens. It
there?
happens because I told you already that the energy and the pathway of energy should be controlled, sustained, and you should be ready for it. I think at our ashram we make people do a lot of yoga to to strengthen their backbone before the kundalini rises, and all those things. If you are not ready, and for some reason it starts rising, you will definitely not be able to control the force of it and will land yourself in problem.
And am I correct? You are actually energetically blocking the Kundalini from rising in your disciples until you have verified that they have reached a certain point of readiness. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. Yes.
How do you do that? I mean, whatever they do, it can't rise because you say so? I mean, this is maybe a little bit hard to understand for our listeners.
No, it is when they are ready, then only we go for that practice. That part of the practice, we make them ready first and then we do it. There are many things which kind of the energy will be in which chakras. We make them prepare everything, and then when it starts rising, it is always controllable. And then a sadhak, a person who is practicing it, can control himself and nothing goes wrong.
Can you just explain for a moment the difference between Tantra and religion?
Okay, it is.
Now, the reason, look, the reason why I'm asking is because, I think I understand the difference, but then there is an interesting thing that Tantra is culturally very much tied into the Hindu culture. So, the names that are being used, like Shiva and things like that, they're the same names that are being used in Hinduism. So I think maybe that needs some clarification.
You have come from West and to a Tantra master. Do you feel that it is Hinduism thing what I have taught you?
No, not at all. I understand that it is very different.
Or it is universal thing, yeah.
Yeah, but the names are still not universals. The names are being drawn upon exactly from this corner of the world, from the culture of this corner in the world. And I wonder why, because, I can't imagine that Shiva was, or that, the origins of Tantra, because you told me there are lots of Tantra masters in Brazil, there are Tantra masters in Germany, and ultimately you can find them everywhere in the world. So how come that all the cultural ties are with the Hindu culture? I just wonder about that.
You see, Tantra, when it has gone to the West, they have taken it as unification of masculine and feminine energy, which is right also.
Yes.
Now, masculine energy I call Shiva, and feminine energy I call Shakti in Hindi language or in Sanskrit language. You can call it in English. When you come to me, I do not call Shiva and Shakti, I call God and goddesses. So, Brazilian, you see, you know that I have not traveled a lot of world. I do not know many things. I'm very poor in informations.
Until a couple. I don't think so. You have traveled the world. I mean, you've been in like 5 countries just last year, or 6 countries.
Yeah, I mean, very recently that is okay, but lot of informations are not to me. The same masculine energy you can call God, I can call Shiva. You can call feminine energy goddess, I can call Shakti. It doesn't change anything. It is the language barrier. And I have told you in the starting of this interview that what we are talking is beyond words. What they visualize as a masculine things and what I visualize as a masculine thing is same. Tantra in Brazil, in Africa, in India, in any other country is same.
So they call it Santeria in South America and they call it voodoo in Africa, and you're saying it is the same
It
in
is same, yes,
essence.
it is in a sense it is same.
Yeah. So, voodoo has a little bit of a negative connotation. When people think about voodoo, they think about people harming others and, putting like enslaving people, slaughtering chickens and things like that. And it gives a little bit of a bad taste. Yet you're saying it is the same. Can you explain? I mean, are you wishing bad things on people?
I I tell you something. You
It's a
see,
rhetorical question. I know that you're not actually, so yeah.
no problem. You see, creation of energy. I think I'll have to permit me to take an example.
Please.
You have got plenty of guns in United States. There is a gun in the hand of policeman who protects people. There is another gun in the hands of a terrorist who kills people.
Yes.
It's gun who's not responsible. It is the mindset which is responsible. Tantra is this gun. It is energy.
It's kind of what Spider-Man says, that great power yields great responsibility.
Yes, yes. So basic thing is there is a mantra in Sanskrit and similar mantra is also exists in Japanese and it says angry clean. That means and Sanskrit language is a language in which whether you say Rama going or going Rama is same. Grammatically there is no change, there is no difference. But when we say ang ring cling and when we say cling ring ang, there is a plenty of difference. Ang ring cling gives you the position of a god and cling ring ang gives you the position of a devil. Okay, so they are the same words. It's similar energy. It depends upon how you use it. And it's not only in Africa that voodoo is bad. In India also tantra is bad in few people's eyes because there have been people who has misused these powers. So it is for us to decide that we use whatever power we have in the right direction. We everything is right. And if we do not have that responsibility, then everything is wrong in any system.
Makes sense. So depending on who uses it, depends if it's being used for good or to harm people.
Yes.
So maybe as a last point, can you explain to us, back to your personal past? You have reached, I believe, enlightenment. When was it? In 1996, was it?
Yes.
And then you have reached liberation, which is a whole different thing. I think enlightenment is called Purnatva, and then you have worked for another 15 years, and in 2000, was it 2017? I think in the beginning of 2017,
Yeah.
you reached nirvana or liberation. Can you explain to us the difference?
Nirvana is something when nothing is left, you are almost dead. You are dead man walking on streets. And lighten, yes.
Sounds wonderful.
And after this, there is no life. Enlightened people can born again and again and again. They can enjoy their enlightenment. They can remain in a good shape, remain in the position of an enlightened master. And nirvana or liberation, what you call, is something very different. And every person who got the liberation first has got enlightenment, and that's power, and it is powerlessness, you can say.
So you have to reach enlightenment before you reach liberation.
Yes. Hmm.
And you are getting reborn. When you're enlightened, you're still getting reborn, which means you pass away and your soul moves into another life. And when you come back to life, you are born again, always in a non-enlightened state.
Yes, you have to. I told you that. You see, a human body is a very unique thing. Do you remember your grandfather's name?
Actually, I don't. I never met him. Both of them.
And your grandfather's grandfather, definitely you don't remember.
I don't.
But their characteristic is present in your body. Your body remembers them.
Sure, I'm carrying the DNA.
Yes. I mean, you call it anything, your body remembers them.
Yes.
And so these informations from the previous life are also present in your body, that you were enlightened. But you do not realize them. You do not know about it unless you go through the whole process again and identify yourself.
You're enlightened. You know this when you're enlightened, since you have access to knowledge. So you pass away, and you know that you're going to be thrown back into the cycle of pleasure and pain, profit and loss, good and bad, roller coaster, waves, up and downs of life. And even though you don't want that, you don't have a choice. You know you're going to be thrown back into this.
That is your opinion. Somebody will have an opinion that I want to enjoy my life and want to come back. I want to meet my girlfriend once again who was very sweet. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So it all depends upon different opinions. But yes, for your opinion, I admire it. And for you, if you reach enlightenment, go ahead for liberation. But for all those who doesn't want to go, and you see, world is a very enjoyable place, and it is also a place for suffering. You see, sadness and happiness are the same thing. You cannot relate to happiness without relating to sadness. So if somebody wants to come back again and enjoy the same life and enjoy the same sadness, it is for them to decide. And for you, if you don't want to come back, you go for liberation. Let everybody be independent and decide what they want.
I think that's a beautiful ending. And I think on that note, thank you so much for joining us. We'll convene next week.
Definitely. And yeah, it was definitely pleasurable talking to you, and have a nice day ahead. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Guru Talks. Share this episode with anyone who wants to be enlightened by Guru Bhaneshwaranand, and don't forget to click subscribe.